Are there contradictions in the Quran?
A bunch of them. You want one?
Can you point one out to me?
Yeah.
First, let's let him expose his lack of intelligence, and then we're going to show him what real contradictions look like.
Okay, I got you. This is a real easy one. What I like to do is I like to show Muslims that we read in context. So that we're not like cherry picking verses, but we're reading in context, right? I'm going to show at least 3 verses that say the same thing. So the first thing I'm going to show is chapter 6, verse 115. It says, the word of your Lord has been perfected in truth and justice. None can change his words, and he is the all-knowing. Say, O prophet, should I seek a judge other than God, while he is the one who has revealed to you the book with truth perfectly explained? So we just heard it. The book is perfectly explained. So here's chapter 11, verse 1. It says, this is a book whose verses are perfectly explained. Okay, that's 2. We 2 for 2. Consistent. Now let's go to chapter 12. We're going to read verse 111, the very last verse of the chapter. This message, the Quran, cannot be a fabrication, but rather it is a confirmation of the previous scriptures and a detailed explanation of all things, and a guide and a mercy for people of faith. So we got 3 verses that say that the Quran is perfectly explained. This one is very beautiful because it says it's a detailed explanation of everything. But this gives you no room for the Quran to be missing details.
Watch him completely miss the ball. I can feel it.
Okay. Now let's be charitable, but everything the Quran mentions in this book should be perfectly detailed explained. Is that fair? All right, so now where's the problem there? Here's chapter 3, verse 7. Watch this. He is the one who revealed to you, O prophet, the book, of which some verses are precise. They're pretty clear, very specific. They are the foundation of the book, while others are elusive. Some are unspecific and ambiguous. But it doesn't stop there. Watch what? It says, those with deviant hearts follow the elusive verses, seeking to spread doubt through their false interpretations, but none grasps their meaning except Allah. As far as those with well-grounded knowledge, they just say, we believe all is from Allah. So this verse just said, there's some clear verses, there's some elusive verses, unclear verses, and only Allah knows the meaning of those unclear verses. So you can't have the Quran be perfectly explained, a detailed explanation about everything, while at the same time have verses that are unexplained where only Allah knows the meaning. That's a contradiction.
So he just exposed his lack of intelligence. Did you just blame the Quran and the Arabic language for polygamy? I know you don't know what that means, so let me explain it. Polygamy is a term that is used for a word that carries many different meanings. Did you know there is not a single language on the face of this earth that doesn't have polygamy in its wording? So this verse is talking about the unspecific part, is talking about words that has dual meanings or multiple different meanings, and what you choose for that meaning changes the meaning of the verse. For example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says regarding your wife, when he says the word daraba, daraba has many different meanings, 8 plus meanings. And one of them are strike, one of them are separate. There is a chapter 65 is about separation, talaq. There is not a chapter on how to hit your wife. So daraba, when it comes to your wife, it is separation. That is what that means. So you're blaming the Arabic language for polygamy. Polygamy does not mean Quran is not fully detailed.
You stupid.
Detail is separate to polygamy. You misinterpreting verses and you taking verses and choosing your own version of what specific words mean because you want to twist the words of Allah, that is your own lack of intelligence and your lack of competence. That doesn't fall into the Quran. Now that we got that out of the way, I want you to answer these. Now let me show you what real contradictions look like. You ready for this? Buckle up. How old was King Uzziah of Judah? In 2 King 8:26, it says that he was 22 years old during the time of his reign. But in 2 Chronicles 22:2, it says that he was 42. How can you be 22 and 42 at the same time? That is a contradiction by definition. Hold on, we're not done yet. On the road to Damascus, on Paul's journey, his companions in Acts 9:7 says that they were speechless and they heard a voice, but they didn't see anything. But again, in the same book, Acts 22:9, it says that the companions saw the light, but they didn't hear anything. Did they hear something or they didn't hear anything? That is called a contradiction by definition. Hold on, we got more. John 19:30. What was Jesus' last word before he died? Jesus says, it is finished. And then he breathed his last, or as in he gave his spirit. Dead. But according to Luke 23:46, Jesus surrenders his spirit to the Father and then he breathed his last. The problem is either he says it is finished and he dies, or he gives his spirit and he dies. Which one is it? Which one did he say? That is what you call contradiction by definition.
You serious?
I can keep going on this regard, my man, because if we're talking about contradictions, if you come after the Quran, you're just gonna expose your lack of intelligence. But if we're talking about contradictions, I can write a diss track with Bible. You don't want to go there, buddy.